Heads up, we have a priority invitation for you to attend Summit at Sea 2026. This is where 2,500 visionaries go on a 4-day odyssey aboard Richard Branson's Virgin Voyages. I'm fortunate to be a keynote speaker on the ship, and this year it will be April 23rd to April 26th. We'll leave out of Miami, and there will be content, learning, connection. I've met some of the most incredible people at Summit at Sea, and I hope you check it out. Head to summit.co for all the information, and for your priority invite, head to summit.co/a/renegade. We'll link to that in the show notes. I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now show. Geoff Woods is on the show today. He's the author of The AI-Driven Leader. We talk all things leadership right now. It is being democratized because of AI. Whether you were an early adopter or you are just diving into AI, this conversation can be a reframe for you. Without further ado, here's Geoff. All right, Geoff, welcome to Why Not Now?
Thank you so much for having me.
In the spirit of Why Not Now.
Yes.
Can you tell me about a time when you had a big decision to make and you had to ask yourself, why not now? And we'll dissect that delta between idea and action.
February 8th, 2024.
2024, ooh.
That was the day that I was wavering on should I write The AI-Driven Leader.
And it came out in fall of 2024.
September 16th of 2024.
So that's a good clip. I'm an author too, and that doesn't usually happen.
No, I went start to finish in 5 months.
Publisher?
Started my own.
Yeah, you had to have.
Yeah. So the reason it was a why not now, when I was debating writing the book, I felt unqualified.
Welcome to humanity.
I know. Even though I had experience driving AI through a company, it just gave me that much more clarity on how much I didn't know.
What was specific about that day, February 8th?
I was talking to a guy that I was interviewing to be my book coach, Charlie Hone, which he was behind Tim Ferriss and Ramit Sethi and a lot of other big authors. And I asked him, I said, he's telling me you have to write the book in a way that it will become a springboard for the company. And I said, Charlie, first and foremost, I don't even know what the book would be about. I don't even feel qualified to write it yet. And I don't even know what the company would become. And I literally said out loud, I'm wavering between, do I go become qualified and then start writing the book? Or do I make a commitment to start writing the book and use it as a forcing mechanism to go so deep on research and so heavy on application that I would literally emerge rise like a phoenix as a global thought leader? And the moment I asked the question, I knew.
This is so perfect.
And I just said, all right, I'm in. And I hired him to be my book coach. I knew from my former business partner, Gary Keller, anytime you're hitting a ceiling of achievement, you're missing a person. While I had been in the publishing space before, I didn't know what it took to write a great, timeless business book. And so I hired him because he did. He had the formula for it. And he became my coach. And this literally was my full-time focus for 5 months. And went start to finish, wrote The AI-Driven Leader. And what I didn't know, you know, Joe, like the imposter syndrome that you have before a book's about to come out. Like, will people like this? Is it going to actually help anybody? Yeah. I had no idea it was going to go on to become #1 in the world for AI, which is a real blessing.
It is. And you did a great job.
Thank you.
And talk about, you basically went and earned qualification, right? You forced yourself and got your PhD with kind of the school of hard knocks, right? The interesting thing about the book is when it was first mentioned to me, I was like, okay, reversing back the publishing time, and I was like, this was vision, because you look at ChatGPT, OpenAI, and when we really saw that threshold, and it was really well timed and very timeless. So when you look back at February 8th, what was hiring him was the green light? Was that the first that's dopamine hit.
I knew I needed a who.
Okay.
I knew I was missing a person. And so if I could work with Charlie, I knew he would guide me on what I would need to do next, and I would just execute whatever he told me to do.
And that takes bravery. Like, I'm always talking about how we have to manufacture bravery. It's not a hope. Like, you can't just hope in the moment of opportunity that you're going to feel brave. So I've heard you talk about, I think it was your senior year in college, and the question, right?
Yeah.
You were interning the CEO of the company. You're asking him for some advice, and he's like,
Sure.
You need to actually start asking different questions. Don't
Yes.
worry about that. Why not now? Obviously, is a question. I'm a big believer of find the right question, not the right answers. And how did that apply to this moment? Because clearly you didn't necessarily have this skill to the level you thought, but.
My senior year, I'm doing an internship. I sit down with the CEO right before graduating, and I asked him what job he thought I should get after school. And he leans in, and I'm just ready for him to tell me what job to get. And he instead says, Geoff, you're asking the wrong question. Hey, Joe, this is the first time in my life I even knew there were right questions and wrong questions. Mm-hmm. And he said, you really should be asking, what skills can I master that are so valuable they'll serve me no matter where I go? Mm-hmm. Then find a job that'll help you build those skills. This is some of the best career advice I've ever received. Mm-hmm. And that when he told me to go into sales, because he said, that'll serve you no matter where you go. I moved here to Austin in 2015 to partner with Gary Keller behind The One Thing to turn his book into a training and consulting company. The core skill I had to learn there was the skill of asking leaders the right questions to unlock new levels of growth. So like my career has literally been defined by that quote of what's the next skill that I need to master, from sales to coaching and enterprise prioritization to all the way up to AI.
And let's bookmark that for a moment, because I was just talking to a friend at Microsoft. And in HR, they're referring to like durable skills versus the fleeting skills. Mm-hmm. But I want to hold off on that. So just in one or two sentences, can you share with me what an AI-driven leader is? And then I want to fast forward to today.
Yes. An AI-driven leader is someone who harnesses the technology to create better leaders, better businesses, and better lives. How do you do that? It's by recognizing that every person has unique God-given strengths. So how do we harness the strengths of an individual and then focus those strengths on the 20% priorities of their role that are in alignment with the company goals and use AI to turn those strengths into superpowers? That's an AI-driven leader.
I love, too, that they could probably borrow some of your confidence of feeling like an imposter, but because how many of us out there are actually technologists? We don't need to be technologists, right? It's all about kind of manipulating talent and time. So if we fast forward, you work with companies, enterprise, I'm out there speaking to them too. And one of the big things I'm seeing right now in 2026 is two problems. One, humans organizing around execution of the tech, right? It's like we're scared, we're burnt out, we're half bored, and things are moving faster than ever. Mm-hmm. And then also we look at the integration, right? We have all this magic with these tools and platforms, but how does it actually integrate into the ones that we know, like Salesforce, or we know we have to have to run our business? How do they work together? Mm-hmm. And so let's talk about those two elements. And I'm hoping that you have a case study or an example of a company, you can share their name or not, that's working through that.
Sure.
Even if it's in a messy way.
Sure. I interviewed over 200 leaders for the book. I asked 3 questions. Do you believe AI is the future? What have you done so far? And how do you think this is going to change what your company becomes? What became really interesting was 100% said it was the future and that they would adopt it. 5% had done anything.
Have you seen a shift now, a year and a half later?
Yeah. There's a false sense of confidence. They think because they've given everybody ChatGPT or Copilot, they're using AI. When the vast majority of people are using it, like Google, or to write better emails.
Like a vending machine,
Correct,
right?
Which the last time I checked, 0% of the workforce received a promotion because they wrote great emails.
Right.
Meaning people are using this for the things that frankly don't matter that much. They're using it tactically. And my aha was like, I literally a manuscript of the book that I completely erased and blew up after getting to number 200 because I realized I was solving the wrong problem. They weren't asking, how do we transform our business? They're asking, how do we start? And how do we make sure we're not falling behind? And so I rewrote the book to help leaders understand, how do I, at a leadership level, start to use this in a way that will actually matter, that will actually improve my job or improve my life. And it's not by using it to help you write better emails. It's using it as a thought partner to elevate how you think.
Which is, we're speaking the same language. And as that has happened, but even if it's still one way where they're using Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever, I was doing some research and I was just curious of like, what percentage of the population in the workforce is actually using it more agentic, or even at that next layer where they actually have projects or using it more longer form, maybe custom GPTs. And it's like maybe 8 to 10. The agentic is...
I think that's high.
I do too.
I think that's grossly high.
Agentic was 1%.
Correct.
And
I don't think they should be yet.
But I think what's interesting is like, okay, I was at a corporate event speaking and we had IT and legal over here, the heads of those departments. We had ops, marketing, and HR. And they clearly realized they're self-aware that there's a bottleneck and that they're wanting to protect. This was a financial and healthcare company. That's a lot of proprietary data that they're scared of. But also there's safe places to experiment and like Petri dish. And how are you seeing companies get over their internal infrastructure and domains to actually make headway?
You have to solve the problem that is versus what the problem will be. Solving infrastructure and all that, that's not the problem. They're trying to solve the 8. It's like dominoes. If you stand them up and line them up correctly, all you have to do is knock the first one down and you build momentum that the others start to fall. People are trying to solve the 18th domino or the 57th domino or the 200th domino when they haven't solved the first one, which is, how do I use this in a way that matters? Here's why. Imagine if your entire life you've only seen black and white, and I ask you to describe color. Can you do it?
Of course not. I mean, just articulating.
So
yeah.
If you haven't experienced AI transform you personally, how as a leader can you possibly cast a vision for how you're going to use agentic AI to transform workflows, or how you're going to weave this in your product or service offering to build a competitive advantage when you haven't experienced it yourself?
Right.
To me, that's actually a lack of integrity.
Well, I literally had a conversation with an executive yesterday that's trying to solve for a huge company, and they're at a C-level, but they said, I feel like my own personal use is so lagging. I'm not doing anything with it. I'm like, how do you then know how to ask the right questions, right? So, okay, so then let's talk about organizing around execution as humans. The fear is real, right? But I've also seen where individuals are skipping rungs on the ladder because they're curious and they're just speaking up. What do you think is the culture shift that we need to see inside a corporate in order to ship before it's perfect?
I saw a stat from McKinsey that the number one determiner of ROI with AI is the CEO's direct oversight. And I think one of the great realizations is that this is actually not IT's job.
I agree.
This is and I get everybody who's watching this is not the CEO of their company. But my hope is that you watching this realize you don't actually have to become an AI expert at all, but you do have to make a commitment to becoming an AI-driven leader. Meaning you have to become a practice leader of using the technology every single day to the point that you can cast vision for the future, define strategy for how you're going to win, and start to lead the change. And then when you hit a ceiling of achievement, know you're missing a person, then you can look externally for what help do you need. I don't think there's a single substitute for leaders getting in the driver's seat and starting to use this every single day in a way that matters. And this is the core shift. Most people are using this for 80% of the tasks that only drive 20% of the results. And they wonder why it's not bringing value. Is it the tool, or did you aim it at the wrong target? versus what's the 20% use cases that would drive 80% of your results, which in my experience, that's using this to elevate how you think and how you lead.
Right. I think that's where, if used in a way that's counterproductive, we can easily just keep going faster, create more, and that burnout is actually going to speed up.
Yes.
Versus be a relief of allowing us to be in our unique.
Can I share a real story of what this looks like?
Yeah, I would love to hear that.
I was sitting with a group of CEOs and I asked a question, which was, what are the biggest problems that you are facing in your business right now? That if we could just solve them, it would unlock a new level of growth. The question itself is strategic because for a guy who wrote a book about AI, I really don't care about AI because AI adoption is not the goal of our company. We want to create a better business. We want to create better lives. Can AI help us do that? Sure.
Strategy first.
But can it distract us from doing it? Yes. Yeah. Strategy first, technology second. One CEO looks at me and he goes, okay, I got a big problem. And I go, okay, let's hear it. And he goes, I run a manufacturing company here in the US. I leased all this capital equipment from a company in Japan, but things have really shifted in the market. The debt structure is killing us. We're going to go bankrupt if we can't get it restructured. And I go, okay, what have you done? And he goes, I feel like we've tried everything. And he lists 5 very specific strategies he's deployed. None of it has worked because the company that holds the debt in Japan is publicly traded. The board, Ajo, is refusing to restructure it.
Because they're embarrassed.
They think they'll lose face in Japanese society.
Their culture.
And he looks at me and he goes, I have no next steps. We are going out of business. Do you think AI can help? For those of you who are watching this, how many of you think that avoiding bankruptcy would be an ideal use case for AI? Asking what's the right AI use case is not the right question versus realizing what you're already doing is the use case. The question is, how do you use AI to do it smarter, faster, better? So I have a very specific prompt framework called CRIT. Context, role, interview, task. If you just remember this, you'll go to top 1% of people in the world using this. So I write a prompt where I give AI lots of context about the situation. I assign it a clear role, meaning the expert I want AI to be. I command it to interview me, to ask me one question at a time to gain deeper context so then it can accomplish a task. So here's the actual prompt I wrote. Context, I'm a manufacturing CEO. I leased all this capital equipment from a company in Japan. Things have shifted in the market. The debt structure's killing us. We're going to go bankrupt if we can't get it restructured. And I listed all 5 strategies he has deployed. None of it has worked because the company in Japan that holds the debt is publicly traded and the board is refusing to restructure it because they think they'll lose face in Japanese society. I have no next steps and I fear we're going out of business. That was the context section. Role. Your role is to act as an investment banker with deep expertise in restructuring debt. Interview me. Ask me one question at a time, up to 3 questions to gain deeper context. Then your task is to generate 5 non-obvious strategies I could deploy to get the board to restructure the debt. That was CRIT. Here's what's crazy. How many books do you think you've read in your life?
Several hundred.
Several hundred. I want you to think of every book you've ever picked up, every page you've ever turned, every word you have glanced. What % of that collective knowledge do you think you can recall and apply right now?
Right now. Not a lot at all.
Is it fair to say you've done pretty well based on your ability to recall and apply the minority of what you've learned, which is the minority of the information of the world?
Well, I recalled I know what the answer to this question is. I know what happens in your book.
These AI models have been trained on about 500 million books worth of data. How much time did it take AI to read through 500 million books worth of data to understand how an investment banker with deep expertise in restructuring debt, who also knew 2,000 years of Japanese culture and history, would think, act, turn the tables, and ask a question?
Yeah. A couple seconds, less than a minute.
Under a second. That's why this is so powerful. The question
and it was so not the obvious answer, was it? The solution was,
it asked him, do you have any relationships with any other influential executives in Japan that the board would respect? And I looked at him and he goes, whoa, I would have never asked that. Oh my gosh. Like, you literally literally saw the light bulb go off in his head when he realized, I actually do. Never thought of that. And it asked 2 more questions like that before it turns the tables. The number 1 recommendation, it called the Saving Face Consortium. It said, you have enough relationships with all the right people in Japan. Why don't you just approach them to acquire your debt, give them really favorable terms, debt gets restructured, board saves face. This literally saved his company.
Yeah.
In 10 minutes.
And I think it's amazing to me that we haven't seen that type of adoption yet, more and more, because people tend to think
tactical,
quicker, faster, increase our speed to market, reduce cycle time. But I mean, it has radically changed my life personally and professionally and relationships. So we've talked a little bit about the experiment that I'm doing. My question and hypothesis is, can intentional AI integration into our lives, all aspects of our lives, increase our quality of life, make us more human, not just more productive? And I'm 2 months into this. Every day, high volume data is being, through API of things like biometrics, calendar, time spent, screen time, what I'm doing, but then also very qualitative, psychological, things that you'd almost see in a journal or an update.
Yeah.
And one of my thoughts is, and finding so far, is that it's actually slowed me down in certain cases, made me have better judgment, and sharpened, actually helped as a regulation tool as well.
I was going to say, is slow worse or is it better?
In a good way, slow me down.
Yes.
Oh, I default fast anyway. And AI can easily make me faster. But the value of that in an corporate entity of people making better judgments, quicker regulation from stimulus to response, the people issues, right? The hardest part about being an entrepreneur or having a company is we're very complex, sometimes dramatic people, and that takes a lot of time and money. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the human side? Do you use AI personally a lot for a thought partner relationships?
Yeah, for sure.
Interpersonal. Do you have an example?
Yeah. My wife and I, about a month ago, every year we do our own couples goal setting retreat. So we stayed at the Austin Proper downtown, had our nanny watch the kids for the weekend. And it's a time for us just to connect and reset, but also to talk about what are our goals for our life, longer term based on that, shorter term based on that this year, for us personally, as a couple, for our kids, as a family. And there were some points where things got a little bit heated. And one of the things, this last year, I didn't expect the book to become the rocket ship that it was. And so I've literally been bear hugging the rocket ship.
It's going to give you some healthy tension.
And the amount of travel that I have done the last year has created real strain in our marriage.
And you have 2 children.
3.
3 children.
Yeah. And my wife and I were talking. She said, it's not the travel that's hard, but I find myself, it's the reconnection after the fact. Because even when you're home, I hold on to the anger that I feel, and it just it takes so long for us to reconnect. And by the time we're reconnected, you leave again. And I thought to myself, how can AI help us here? And so we sat down and I wrote a crit. Context. And I dumped tons of context in about what my travel schedule has looked like and the things I'm feeling. And I had her sharing, and I'm doing speech to text, so it's capturing all of this. I assigned it a role where it was a world-class marriage therapist, but also a COO whose superpower is building systems to help couples reconnect. Had it interview us 1 question at a time, up to 5 questions to gain deeper context. Its original task was to create a reconnection system or process that we could follow. So when I come back from travel, we could reconnect faster. Every question it asked, she's answering, then I'm answering. But we're talking about 5-minute long plus answers for each person.
And are you talking and it's listening, or are you transcribing and then
speech to text into the model directly? The interview took 90 minutes. My realization is it just pulled so much context out of our head that I said, actually, before you accomplish the task, I want you to now create a psychological profile of both of us that I could put into a project inside ChatGPT
background.
so that this could actually become a marriage coach, not just build me a process, build a full-blown marriage coach. Here, hand me my phone. Let me read what it said. I'm going to read you real use case.
I love it.
Because I built it on the spot, and then, I kid you, 30 minutes later, we hit a point of tension. And I went to the marriage coach. And I said, great, let's test it. Here's what I wrote. Here we go. I'm speaking on behalf of Amy, who's my wife. Why is it that when I'm expressing my feelings about something that's not going well in my life, my husband tries to solve the problem and then it frustrates me? Here's what it said. This isn't about him being dismissive or you being too emotional. It's a nervous system mismatch. When you express pain, you're seeking regulation and connection. When he hears pain, his nervous system hears a call to perform and fix. So the moment he moves to solution, your body experiences it as, you didn't see me. You skipped me. That's why frustration shows up so fast for you. Now, here's what's actually happening underneath without villainizing either of you. For Amy, speaking feelings means asking to be held in experience. The need is stay with me, land with me. Solutions too early means that containment was bypassed, resulting in anger masking grief and loneliness. For Geoff and many partners like him, hearing distress triggers responsibility for action. Solving is his way of showing you love and competence. He's trying to reduce threat and restore stability. He doesn't realize that speed feels like abandonment to you. No one is wrong. It's just the sequence is wrong. And then it walked through how we could adjust this. That has been transformative for me in terms of holding space for her, because the moment she is a verbal processor, the moment that she wants to vent about something, I immediately want to solve. And I actually feel my body getting triggered when I can't solve it. But now I realize no, just land with her, be grounded, hold the space, feel and validate what she's feeling, because more often than not, she doesn't want me to solve.
How amazing
that was the first
is
use
that?
case.
Exactly right. And now you have that education moving forward, and you're just getting more and more intelligent.
Correct.
And she is too, but you have a protocol now.
Correct.
It's fascinating to me how empathetic and emotionally intelligent AI has been in interpersonal, conflict or navigating scenarios, where in the first month of the experiment, you can see through my not only HRV but Oura Ring with stress levels, literally.
Yes.
And you can see it normally, we go like this. And then as my usage of AI, I think I've had over 1 million tokens over the last couple of years, but I'm definitely use it. I'm a heavy user. It actually started to go up because I started using it in other ways for talking through scenarios in real time, regulation. There were some intense things going on. And you see the AI usage go up because you can export the data and re-import. And you see the stress go like this. And it's leveling out, even though those were really stressful moments. So how is it that we get people to understand that actually that's such an upside, right? Whether it's in business or it's personal. And yes, there's plenty of things to be fearful about. We both have children. But if we lean in and actually start to use it more, we'll have more of a voice on what gets explored. And I don't find that being a privacy issue, and I have some different guardrails, but what's your kind of constitution for using AI? Are there any areas that you aren't using it?
There's lots. Again, I don't care about AI. I care about better leaders, better businesses, better lives. That's the mission of our company. I want to create a new category of leader that is an AI-driven leader that harnesses to truly create better leaders, better businesses, better lives. How do we not only have economic upside from a capitalist standpoint while keeping human interest at the center? It is strategy first, technology second. I have a dedicated, nice leather chair in my office for thinking, meaning analog, pen and paper thinking. I still do that, where I'll sit down and I'll ask myself a question and I'll journal my thoughts, because AI can ask me the best questions in the world, but if I don't have the source material to give it to it, sometimes I need that processing time myself. I still go there. There are plenty of things that I do without AI because I don't need it, but I bring it into the things that matter. I bring it in when I need, I want to simulate my ideal customer to give me feedback on product strategy. I have my own personal AI board to challenge my biases and assumptions and help me see my own blind spots. I have an AI health coach that helps me make sure that I'm eating within my macros, doing the right workout, but also rewiring my identity with my longevity goals. Like I have we just went through something pretty significant with my daughter recently. She's experienced a real trauma in her life. And as a father, I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. I wrote a crit and came up with a very clear roadmap of how to show up as the best father possible to support her through this, that I think there is 0% chance I would have been as effective if I had not harnessed AI as a thought partner there. So I use it for the 20% that matters.
So what do you think a leader looks like in 5 to 10 years?
I think anything beyond 3 is really hard.
Let's do 3 then.
Because this is just moving so fast. We were talking about this on the way over here. I think the entire org structure model is going to get disrupted. When we think about a company and people, we think of an org chart. It's very hierarchical. And when we want to hire somebody, we have an open seat on the org chart. We write a job description for who do we want to fit in that. And then we interview people to see if they fit that box on the org chart. But my realization, Joe, is we're literally asking people to conform to what we think is right, which is inherent with biases and assumptions that could be wrong. Versus the thing about AI is this does not replace you. This enhances you. Now, can you ask, how can AI replace me? Sure, and you can probably come up with some answers there. But you can also ask a more empowering question, which is, how might AI make me irreplaceable?
Well, that's actually the segment that I want to start. I just started this segment today for you, Geoff. It is called, basically, I'm going to throw out leadership traits, and you're going to say, replaceable or irreplaceable?
Can we go there in a second?
Sure.
So here's how this ties back to that. Actually, I'll tell you what I did, and then I'll tell you how it fits into leadership strategy. Marianella is my former executive assistant. I told her on week 1, this is the 20% things that you have to do exceptionally well to do your job at the highest level. And we came up with very specific KPIs. I said, it is your job to hunt me down once a week and get me to score you on a scale of 1 to 10 on every single KPI. And if I do not give you a 10, you have to ask, what can you do differently next week so it'll be a 10? And I said, I'm going to be very clear. I am not going to proactively come to you with this feedback. It's your job to prioritize the time and make sure that every single week I'm scoring you. So immediately, Ajo, I am making development her responsibility. I just gave her a framework. Every week she's asking me to score her. We repeat that for 4 months. By the end of 4 months, she is crushing it. She's 10 out of 10 on everything, which meant she had outgrown her role.
Yeah.
It was time to create more opportunity. And so on our weekly one-on-one, I told her how well she was doing, and I said, it's time to think bigger. I want you to use AI, and I want you to write a crit where I want you to tell it what you believe are your greatest strengths and superpowers that you may or may not be harnessing within the business, and cast a vision for how you can bring 10 times to 100 times more value to the company based on our goals and our business plan. She goes, got it. Now let's be clear. Before working with me, she knew how to spell AI. That was it. She had never even touched she had never even touched ChatGPT. So she read the book. She learned how to write crit. That was it. So you have all been taught how to do crit. You have just as much information as she had. She comes back to me a week later. She goes, I'm ready. And I go, with what? She goes, my vision. I go, let's go. And she goes, okay, based on what my greatest strengths are, here's the 20% things I'm currently doing that I think I need to double down on because they'll bring 10 times more value based on our goals and our business plan. Here's all the things I'm not doing that I really should be doing based on our goals and our business plan to bring 10 times more value. And if that's the case though, here's all the things I'm going to have to stop doing. And I've segmented them into 3 groups. Here's the things we should just stop. They don't matter. They're distractions. Here's the things I think we can use AI to augment or automate. And here's the things that I think we're going to still need a human for. Based on that, here's a job description for my replacement. Here's their 20% priorities. Here's their 90-day onboarding plan. Here's the compensation research. Based on that, I think we should pay them X. Do I have your approval?
Because AI gave her that. Yeah.
AI interviewed her.
Yes, totally.
She was the thought leader. 100%. It was her thought partner.
100%.
I'm blown away. I go, approved? Way to go. What's next? And she goes, oh, we're not done yet. I go, excuse me?
Yeah.
And she goes, that was 10 times more value. That's not what you asked.
You said 100,000.
You said 10 to 100 times more value. And I sit back, I'm like, oh, this is going to be good.
Amazing.
And she goes, here's my realization. I can't become 100 times more valuable unless I make you 100 times more valuable. So here's a prompt I've architected so that AI will interview you to help you, Geoff, identify how you can become
your problem.
And I go,
you are stunting me.
Oh yeah. I go, I can't wait to do this. She goes, good, you'll do it now. I'll wait. And she literally waits while AI interviews me for 15 minutes and it spits out a full vision and a system of rules we would have to put in place to transform the allocation of my time. One of the most valuable prompts I've ever done. And I tell her that and she goes, yeah, thank you, but we have a problem. I go, what's that? She goes, you. You love to break the rules, Geoff. I'm going to put this system in place and you're going to wiggle out of every single one of them. So here's another prompt I've architected where AI is going to interview you to identify every way you will try to wiggle out of these. And it's going to turn that into a defense process that's a legitimate project inside ChatGPT. If I ever want to break one of my own rules, I have to go through AI first. Here's why I share that story. That was a perfect example of what I believe the future of leadership is. It's not, this is your job description, you must do these things. It was me saying, this is why our company exists. Here's the goals that we have. Here's our business plan. I want you to use AI to help you get a clear understanding of what you think your superpowers are. And you tell me, if I gave you complete agency, how you would bring the biggest value to the company. And she was able to come back with a completely different job description. Her title now is Executive Multiplier. Her 20% went from checking email, managing calendar, and handing my 80% to make me 100 times more valuable, run our advisory scopes for Latin America, and build all the systems that become the backbone of our internal culture.
The playing field clearly is leveled. But if we look at these skills, right, back to your point about what skills do I need? Okay, so we're going to play this segment.
Yes.
It's going to be rapid fire, just replaceable or irreplaceable. Leadership skills, for example.
Can I offer a reframe?
Sure.
I don't know if it's replaceable or irreplaceable. When I think about skills, I think of them like stocks. Will they go up in value or down in value?
You can do that if you'd like.
Yes.
If you'd like, you can say up or down.
Yes.
You really don't like rules, do you? You just try to wiggle your way out of that one. No, totally fair. And this is all within a spectrum based on everyone's scenario. These are traits, right? Not just skills. These are leadership traits.
Cool.
Emotional regulation.
Up.
Ability to inspire without data.
Up.
Capacity to hold two truths at the same time.
Up.
Storytelling.
Up.
Timing.
Up.
Empathy.
Up.
Discipline.
Up.
Intuition.
Up.
Synthesis.
I'm going to still say up, but it's augmented by AI heavily. You're going to have to synthesize what AI does versus do the initial synthesis.
Okay. Conviction.
Up.
Listening,
Up.
writing,
Down. What do you mean by writing?
ability to write from scratch.
Down.
Okay. How about creative thinking?
Up.
Okay. How about time management?
Up.
What do you think is going to go down?
Here is what I realized.
For leadership traits.
Yeah, there's so much fear around AI taking jobs that I found myself asking, what is a job? What I realized is if you study history, technology never eliminated jobs. A job is just skills you apply and processes you follow. Technology makes the value of certain skills or processes go up in value, or certain skills and processes go down in value. The whole job doesn't go away. It's about skills or processes. The problem is, because of the Industrial Revolution, we were literally taught in our public education system, which is still in existence today, to not think like humans and start thinking like machines. To prepare us to go into an industrial workforce.
The Rockefeller.
Where we literally stand at an assembly line or take direction from a boss, do something repetitively with minimal error, with maximum efficiency. I would argue that the vast majority of what people do today is them acting like machines, not acting like humans. If you are focused on outputs, do this task, generate this report, send this message, a machine can already do that. That's going away. What's left? It's the human skills, the ability to think strategically, to solve problems, to communicate, to collaborate, to create, that's going to go up in value. Most people, or a lot of people though, have not invested their career in developing the human skills that are going to go up in value.
Yeah.
They focused on developing the machine-based tactical skills that are going away.
And history doesn't always repeat itself, but human behavior tends to, right? So here we are. Do you think when we look at the amount of need right now for people to have human connection, right? And the premium that will be connecting in person or having that emotional, affinity and reaction, what do you think will be like the craving and the absolute necessity for humans in the workplace, right? So here we have return to work, but we also have remote, and there's obviously hybrid, but how is AI going to help or hurt that human connection?
I think you can answer both of those. First, I think we have to acknowledge that you're moving away from being the player of an instrument in the orchestra. I do marketing, I do finance, I do sales, to now you are the composer of strategy and the conductor of teams and technology. It's not about you being able to play any instrument yourself. It's the ability to wave the baton and to move teams and technology to achieve your biggest goals or solve your biggest problems. So let's talk about software development. Our developing team writes 0 lines of code. 0,
But
effective immediately. Our developers oversee AI agents that write code. QA in software. We don't have a person that does QA. We have a QA person that oversees agents that do QA. So a person is now leading agents in our business today. And last week I was with a major company and their CIO said to me, in 12 to 18 months, can you believe we won't be writing code anymore? I said, how about tomorrow?
So is your thought human connection will get stronger because they'll have more time? Or what's your thought on the human connection side?
I think it becomes more valuable because, by the way, this is where we came from. We came from sitting around the campfire, working in a community. And I think it's less about us doing the tactical things and more about us collaborating with other humans. I think we will have far more time to actually live.
And
I mean, if you think before our generation, like our parents' generation, they worked to live. They didn't live to work. Before you had the mobile phone and internet, when you left the office, you actually left the office. You didn't bring work home with you. Because of the mobile device, even on vacation, people aren't on vacation. So I do think we get to the point where you have so much agentic AI doing so many things that we actually have space to get back in touch with, who am I? Who are you? How do we form that connection? What are our hobby? A hobby outside of work? What is that? I think that's the future.
So what's taking a turn here? What's one thing that you find yourself learning over and over?
The importance of what's timeless versus what's timely.
Can you give me an example?
So many people spend so much time. What's the latest AI model? And ChatGPT 5.2 just became 5.3, but then Claude just came out with this, and then Google came out with this, and they're so busy studying the latest tool, which is what's timely. That is not what is going to help you create a better leader, a better business, or a better life. I think the vast majority of the technological advances are distractions.
That's interesting because the experiment itself is showing me that it's not load necessarily that causes stress or, any kind of anxiety. It's more of cognitive fragmentation. It's not emotion. It's not drama. It's not like I can literally see it. It's when our brains were not wired. That's like cognitive chaos, the way that we're bouncing.
Yes.
Right. So that... what is your thought on mental health in the future? Is AI, everything is getting faster and faster, and you're out in the wild seeing the fear in people's eyes. What are your thoughts on that?
On mental health?
Is the acceleration of everything is not how we were.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen to mental health of humanity overall as a trend. I think if you study history, I think things are going to get pretty bad before they get better. I mean, if you actually look at past technology, people brought out the pitchforks when a certain technological advancement threatened their livelihood. But I also look at that and say that was them still attaching themselves to the way things used to be. And the tech stayed, and the pain eventually got so high that they were forced to adopt the technology and build new skills. And then they got different jobs. That has always happened. This is the first time where AI truly poses the question, what will work look like in the future? I don't actually spend much time worrying about that. I focus on solving the problem that is. What I do think is, one, I think the vast majority of people don't have the resources or the easy access to great mental health professionals. I think AI will democratize a lot of that. The ability for AI to ask you the right questions, to help you think through things and to empathize with things. Like I still pay for coaches. We still have therapists in our life, and they're not available when I need them.
On demand, they're biased.
I use AI as my initial thought partner, but I'm also very clear on what is AI giving me, and I know how to challenge it for biases and assumptions or hallucinations. I don't trust what it says to me. I consider it as a perspective. I'm the thought leader. It's just my thought partner. And I do my initial round of thinking with AI. And then I go to the professionals, the human professionals in my world to have those higher level discussions.
You could argue the same for legal. How quickly I realized, oh my gosh, if I'm an attorney, I got to make sure I know where I'm playing and how I'm using this because I know my legal bills are not as, I don't need as much time from the actual human anymore. Gemini is doing my red lines because it knows my standard contract.
Paying an attorney the billable hour to draft anything should be over.
And that happened like that, by the way.
And they're resisting it right now.
So how do you keep your mind healthy?
How do I keep my mind healthy? Exercise is important for me. I especially the last year, I've really done a lot of inner work around past trauma, healing, and really becoming aware of how many things I've held on to in my body. So part of this is like in the gym, I'm really thinking about what emotions are present with me right now. And like even this morning, I'm doing pretty heavy leg day. I'm doing squats and I'm thinking about specific things and I'm using that to like drive it out of my body.
That's interesting.
I'll do stretch in the sauna for 20 minutes after I work out where there's nothing in my ears. Like I'm really being present with whatever emotion I'm feeling and I'm actually stretching it out, moving it out. I do a lot of somatic work to actually release things in my body. Thinking time, a lot of thinking time. Anytime I feel overwhelmed in my life, I realize I'm just missing a thinking time block. And it's because there's so many things swirling around in my head that it's more that's in my head than I have the ability to process or prioritize. I know if I sit down with pen and paper or with AI interviewing me, and if I can just data dump it and get it into an organized structure, I give myself peace of mind. Those are some of the things that I do.
That's great. I love it. What keeps you up at night?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I sleep like a baby.
That's good.
If anything does keep me up at night, it's when I do feel stress about something in my life, and it can be very situational, where that stress, which really is just there are certain emotions that I have not processed or that I'm holding on to that I have an opportunity to release.
And do you have a current why not now idea that you are considering?
Yeah, my wife,
Amy. Great name.
Yeah, she very much values adventure. And before writing this book, I was the chief growth officer for a big public company in India. And they were relocating us to London. We had negotiated a full expat package. They flew my wife and I out there for 10 days, hired a nanny to watch our kids. We figured out schools, houses, like everything completely dialed in. And the week I got back from we literally fell in love with the vision of living in Europe. And the week I got back, they pulled the plug and said, just kidding, we're not going to open an office, stay in the States. We had to mourn the loss of a dream there. And so both of us have wanted to go internationally. My wife is making the case now that our oldest daughter's 12. Like we really only have probably 3-4 years left with her where she's even going to want to be with us. She doesn't even really want to be. She doesn't even really want to be with us now.
I think 3 years is aggressive.
I know. And so my wife is very much pushing for how can we go international sooner than later. And I have this company that I launched a year and a half ago that's, I feel like going to the moon. And this is one of those things I say, I'm a family man with a business, not a businessman with a family. And I feel like this is being tested right now. What is the priority? Is it the business? Is it the family? And the thing I said to Marinella, my executive multiplier, is by the end of this year, I want the business to be in a state where it does not require me, so that next year we could do 3 months abroad, and maybe that is the thing. In next year, let's do 3 months abroad, and then maybe we can do a year after that. But I do want that experience with my family. So why not now?
Why not? And with that, I'm guessing, I trust you used AI to kind of think it through of step by step. What is that very first step?
So actually, no.
You didn't?
This is a perfect example of where I don't use AI. I have the processing power in my brain to come up with, and this is where I also think very differently. There's what's the ultimate goal, and then what's the current problem that needs to be solved.
Right, but to reverse engineer how you don't have to be involved in the business.
That's not my job to figure out.
Well,
that's my
your executive
team's job to figure out, which I delegated the vision to them and put it into the business plan that by end of this year, we have product market fit that can scale independent of me.
So what's stopping you from taking the very first step to committing to doing it?
To really commit to do it would mean we'd have to sign up for something.
Yep. Should we call Amy right now?
Oh, she would love
I'm
you.
on team Amy.
She would love
you guys need to go. Let's call her.
So what we actually want to do is the first step is actually we want to sign up for 3 weeks abroad.
You're going to flirt. You're going to date.
This December.
Okay.
Which I've already cleared.
You want to?
I've already cleared the calendar.
But have you actually done something other than clearing the calendar?
Let's put it this way. There's something personal happening in our life that I can't disclose here
Okay, that's fair.
that could prevent it.
Okay,
That we
that's
have to
fair.
actually solve that first. Assuming
Okay.
we can solve that,
Okay.
that next domino falls.
Okay, so you've got your dominoes in order.
Yeah,
You've
there's a
got your
very
marching
clear
order.
private next step
That's great, though.
that is actively in motion, like to the point that like he saw me today. I literally said to my wife, "What is the most important thing you accomplish?" And she's like, "This thing." I said, "Exactly. Nothing else matters. Just focus on that."
That's great.
And that's like move the ball this week.
And I think for anyone listening, it becomes so daunting. Like I lived on a boat for a while.
Oh,
and
cool.
people said, "Oh, not everybody can just go live on the boat." I'm like, actually, and I was talking to a group of executives that could totally go live on a boat.
Yes.
I'm like, actually, if you really start to piece it down, you have a lot more agency than you think. But it's those tiny steps, right? So that's inspiring. It's exciting. All right, so we're going to wrap it up here. Let's go back to Geoff, who's talking to the CEO during your internship of your senior year in college. And this mentorish CEO says, I think you need to focus on what skills, like make sure you've got the right question. If you were to go back to yourself in that moment and just offer some advice, what would you say?
You are capable of far more than you even think is possible. In fact, the only limit to what you can achieve in this world
Is you.
is you and what you believe. I would tell him that confidence and capability comes after you make a commitment and summon the courage to start, even when you feel like an imposter. And it's through taking actions in spite of feeling unworthy that you gain capability and then confidence. I would also tell him that everything happens in the right way at the perfect time. Every setback is a setup for a better version of you. And I would tell him that your value has nothing to do with external forces. It has nothing to do with your title. It has nothing to do with how much money you make or the car you drive. The fact that you exist means you matter. And therefore, life is actually a spiritual journey of becoming the best version of yourself. So go do that.
Amazing. Amazing. And what I love is that you started off with the fact that you went and created the competence that then gave you more and more confidence, right? That 5% edge. And thank you for writing the book.
Thank you.
Everybody check out The AI Driven Leader. Follow Geoff. And we'll have to bring you back on because this is this journey is definitely unfolding.
It's just getting started. That's the crazy part.
Thank you, Geoff.
Thank you.